Dear parents, I wanted to send you a quick information update about grading for the summer for Year 11s in 2021. We now have all the information that we need in order to make sure that we are following the right process and to make sure that we support all of our Year 11 students in receiving the grade that they deserve. Some key information that I'm going to run through in this PowerPoint is just about the machinations, the running of this process, and also how things will play out across the rest of the time that Year 11 are with us. So at the moment, students are sitting their exam board assessments as per the information I wrote to you before the Easter holidays, with that timetable of exam board assessments that Year 11 are sitting across their subjects. It is really therefore imperative that our Year 11s are here all of the time and that any absence is kept to an absolute minimum and really when only absolutely needed. It puts so much more pressure on our young people if they have to repeat assessments when they have yet more assessments up and coming. For all of our Year 11s, they're working really hard in this time and making sure that they're doing their best to prepare. It's really important that they listen to the direction of their teachers, ensuring that they therefore know what they need to be preparing for over the course of the week across each subject. I also wrote to you in my last letter all about the process that we're using across all of our trust schools and also more widely across North Dorset. We've worked in collaboration to create that common approach, which we know will be really, really important in terms of making sure that we have the right standard and so that there is no challenge from our exam boards. We will be standardising as a group of schools, and we will also then be moderating as a group of schools to make sure that we're applying that standard correctly. That will happen over the course of the next few weeks. And then we, as you'll know, I wrote in that letter that we will have move inset day. So instead of that being later in June, we're going to take the benefit of that straight after half term on the 7th of June. And that will allow us to apply that standard across all of our students' work on that day. We know the grounds for appeals now, and I'm going to give you some more information about that in just a moment. All teacher assessed grades will still have to be in on that deadline of the 18th of June. We intend to beat that deadline and make sure that everything is there well before that in case of any cause for concern or the exam boards wanting to challenge or ask us anything further. The results day will be on the 12th of August, and once we have further announcements around the easing of restrictions in May, I will be able to share more about what results day will look like. At the moment, we can't have large gatherings, so we're just having to wait and make that decision a bit later. One thing that's really important, and I will reiterate it in a moment, is that grades cannot be shared before this date, and it would be considered malpractice to ask your teachers or your son or daughter's teacher to share any potential grade that may be awarded. So please don't put them in that position. The exam boards have also now published their own quality assurance process, so we're now well aware of what that will look like, and I will again explain more in a moment. So the teacher assessed grades are how young people will be awarded grades this year across each and every subject that they sit at GCSE, and also that will carry on through A-level and all vocational and technical qualifications as well. It's really important to note that this will be decided on current student performance, what we can evidence young people are achieving, and not based on a prediction, unlike last year where that was the case. As I said, they have to be submitted by the 18th of June and they cannot be shared before then. Any conversations, any asking teachers or challenging around asking what the grades will be by student or parents will and could be considered malpractice by exam boards. We've been given very clear guidance that this could result in no grade being awarded. Teachers therefore cannot discuss grades. We as a school cannot discuss what grades we will be awarding. That information will come out only on results day on the 12th of August. As you'll know from the letter, that there will be a portfolio of work that we will be collating of all of the work that your son or daughter has done and completed across years 10 and 11. And with that range of evidence, which I'll explain below, we will be then creating a small portfolio of work which will go towards the teacher assessed grade. We will use all of that information holistically to support the grade that we're awarding, and that information is the bulk of work that we will take to be standardised across our schools, moderated across our trust and other local schools, and then we will bring back into school and moderate, making sure we've applied that standard of a small sample across all of our students. The exam boards in their quality assurance announcement last week have also noted how they will be sampling work, and they will take small samples of work across different subjects, and they will then view that work and decide that they are either happy or they want to challenge that standard and ask us for more information. What we're really reassured about is our rigorous process means we are not concerned at all by the quality assurance process the exam boards are proposing. In fact, we welcome it because we will be so prepared and ready. Our practical subjects are assessed slightly differently to GCSE qualifications. Most of them carry what's called non-exam assessments and a series of potentially on-screen tests. Where these apply, we will be using exam board assessments similar to the GCSE assessments in order that our young people can complete all of their assessment objectives and have a full portfolio of work to share. We will be able to use a range of information. So for us, we were unable to sit our mock exams, our PPEs, in both series this year, unfortunately, due to the COVID closures. So we will be using our Mark 12 assessments, potentially the Year 10 PPE if it's relevant, because the most relevant work is most recent work, as noted in the guidance from Ofqual and JCQ, who are overseeing this process. We have been doing some practice tests. We did some of those during lockdown and some of those happened just before the Easter holidays. They were like mini mock exams. We also have our exam board assessments, which are directly from the exam board, so they have great veracity. The exam boards are going to give good weight to this series of mini tests, if you like. Those are being completed in class, and that's what the timetable before Easter was all about. As I've just explained, non-exam and assessment will be there for those subjects in which that applies. That's subjects like art, for example, and art 3D, catering, and for subjects like BTEC sport. There will also be the contribution of all the things that young people have done in classwork, homework, and that includes a discussion, their opportunity to share orally in class, and all of those can be applied holistically to the grades that are being awarded. One of the things that we're super pleased about is the fact that our process is so rigorous and robust. When it comes to appeals, we're pretty sure that there will be no reason for any young person to need to appeal. There are just the following grounds under which an appeal can be requested. That would be where a grade was entered incorrectly by us as a centre, where an incorrect assessment was used to determine a grade. That would be an error in processing that portfolio of work, where the centre didn't follow the procedure we set out in our centre policy, which I can assure you was rigorous and had to be written across our whole trust to make sure that it fitted everything that we're saying we're doing, and that has now been submitted to the exam boards. The awarding organisation, so the exam board, makes an administrative error themselves, that is, they put in a grade incorrectly, or a student considers an unreasonable exercise of academic judgment in the choice of evidence from which the grade was determined. That last one is a little bit of a red herring, because clearly that's quite challenging for an unqualified person in terms of not being a teaching professional who is not trained in marking. It would be quite challenging for that to be something under which the grounds for appeal would be made. But as I said, the good news is we feel that errors are very unlikely to happen because we have such a robust system in place. We will have that obviously confirmed when the centre policy is approved. We're waiting on that happening. They had to be submitted by Friday last week, so we're waiting on that confirmation from the exam boards. If you've got any questions about that process, obviously please do get in touch, and as soon as we have the documentation that the exam boards wish us to use, we will obviously be publishing that around the results time as well. One thing that's really important for us is making sure that our young people are able to manage the load. And one thing I spoke to them all about in assembly last week was making sure that they're staying healthy, keeping active, getting enough sleep, that they are resting and well watered, they're eating well, and generally just making sure that they get through this period of time. Although it's very different, and I think the pressures from talking to the Year 11s are quite a lot less than they would have been in a normal examination series. I think just the fact that this has taken so long to get to this place where we knew what was happening has been stressful enough in itself. Please make sure that you back your young person up by asking for help where needed. Our young people know, and we make sure that they're clear all the time. Tutors, teachers, all of us are here to support. We will do whatever we can to get them through this final period of their time in secondary school. As I said earlier, attendance is really key. It gives them the chance to make sure they don't miss out on any chance to demonstrate their current working grade, remembering this is not a prediction, only a current working grade. So we have to have the evidence to show what your child has produced. And it's really important that they're in school so they can prepare as directed by their teacher. Their teacher will be very clear about what they need to be doing in order to minimise their stress as well at this time. Feel free to pause the video at this point and take a look at some of the revision tips that are on the screen. Slightly different way of working this year for sure in terms of using exam board assessments rather than the centralised examination system. But lots of these things still apply. Having a quiet space in which to study, making sure that they are looking after themselves, using all the revision tactics and tools that we have for young people on our website, through their Google Classrooms, and also in the things that they're being encouraged to undertake in terms of preparation from their teachers. One of the key things is what comes next, and as we are now in a place where all of our young people in Year 11 will have finished being assessed when it comes towards the end of May, we don't feel it's appropriate that young people return to school after the May half term. In normal years, what would happen is that students would be on study leave from May half term and only come to school and return to school to sit examinations. For us, what we'd like to do is make sure that we have a support package in place for our young people, encouraging them to get involved with their post-16 provider information and activities that are all coming online shortly. And once we have final confirmation from all of our post-16 providers, we'll be in touch with more information about that. But we want to make sure that our tutors in Year 11 are still supporting our young people, who will be in touch with them on a weekly basis, and that we will provide various opportunities to ensure that our young people are still on the right track and ready and preparing for their next steps. We've got a great day planned for the last day as a celebration for our young people, and more will follow about that. Parts of it we are keeping on the quiet because we want to make sure it's really super fun for everybody and a bit of a surprise. There will also be some different sorts of activities happening across that last week of term. So we will be using the National Citizenship Service as a bit of a programme of getting our young people in the mindset of moving on and moving forwards. And that's because they will no longer need to be taught to be assessed, because those exam board assessments will have finished at that point. And as for the prom, a big question on all the young people's lips, we are holding our breath and waiting for the May restrictions announcement. Once we know about easing of restrictions, we'll know more about whether it's appropriate or possible even for us to have a prom, and more information will follow. Whilst it's a tough time, it's really important that we keep our young people motivated. We're working hard to do that, and we know that you are at home as well. They need to keep going. It is a key time for them to demonstrate the final opportunity to show off their potential grade in each subject, and we want to be able to award them the very best teacher-assessed grade at the end of this process. There is a consultation happening currently about the appeals process, so if you would like to find out more about that, or if you've any further information, please do use the links in this PowerPoint. We will make sure they're published on our website as well. At the bottom of this is also a link to our SAS newsletter, which, in case you haven't seen it, has some useful bits of information in. As always, if there's anything that we can do to support, please do get in touch with the school. You can always contact me directly, jen.jacqueline@kingarthurs.org.uk, or you can contact any of the pastoral support team or individual teachers. But please, one final reminder, either. You cannot talk to them about grades. We don't want to risk anybody's individual subject grades. Thank you for all the support you're giving to your child at home. It's just such a difficult year. It's been just so challenging for all of them and all of you. And we absolutely want to do the very best by them, and thank you for everything that you're doing to support. Please do ask if there's anything further that we can do. All the best for now. Thank you.